Did you know you can improve your mental toughness? So this video is another one in the series on some of the mental aspects of running I've been putting together. I'll have some links at the end and down in the comments on some of the other videos I've made in this series. Feel free to look at those. So today we want to talk about mental toughness, but what exactly is mental toughness? Well, there's not a real standard definition out there, but in my mind, mental toughness is being able to perform at the level you want to perform at your best, in spite of the mental demands put on you by adverse conditions. For example, you're out doing a long run, you're doing 8 miles today, but at mile 4 it starts to rain. Well, that rain's an adverse condition. How do you handle that? Do you throw your arms up and say, I'm calling it a day, I'm going home? Do you persevere? Do you say, oh, this rain isn't going to stop me, it's not that bad, I can still continue on? So that's what mental toughness is all about, because we always have these challenges when we run. Now, you already have some degree of mental toughness because you're a runner. I tend to think because running is hard, running's not easy, that's why we're in a minority. Most people don't run. And because we do run, we already have some degree of mental toughness. There are some things you can do to improve your mental toughness, and that's what we want to talk about today. So my name is Ralph, and this is The Ageless Runner. If you're new here, my channel is all about helping you have a better running life, regardless of your age, but especially if you're an older runner. Got some things I like to share with you. So if you are new here, I'd love to have you stick around. Hit that subscribe button down in the corner of this video anytime. Thank you. So there are two components that make up mental toughness in my mind. The first is willingness. The second one is having a positive belief or positive mindset. By willingness, I mean you are willing to put in the effort, endure the adverse conditions. You're willing to do what it takes to achieve whatever goal you want. For example, let's say you decide you're going to bake a cake from scratch. Are you willing to put up with the mess, go through all the steps, take the couple hours it's going to take to bake that cake? If you're not, anytime something goes wrong, you're going to throw up your hands and call it a day. So you got to be willing to put in that effort. You got to be willing to take the steps necessary to achieve that end result. Okay, the other example is maybe you're going to do the big one. You're going to do a marathon. Are you willing to go and spend months, many months, put in many miles, run in all kinds of outdoor conditions to achieve that goal of running a marathon? If you're not willing to do that, there's a high chance you're going to falter the first time you come into something difficult or you have some pain and tiredness. Now, the second aspect is what I call a positive belief. You got to believe that if you endure that stuff, you have the willingness, and you go through the necessary steps, you'll achieve your objective. So you've got to believe and have faith that if you follow that recipe, you will make a great tasting cake at the end of the day from scratch. Or if you follow that marathon training running plan, if you follow it and don't miss anything on that, that you will achieve your objective and run that marathon. You've got to have that sense of positive belief that you can achieve that if you go through the proper steps and make those sacrifices and that commitment. So what are some ways we can improve our mental toughness? So I'm going to talk about several things, but I want to start off and talk about self-talk, because that kind of permeates all the other things I'm going to talk about. You know what self-talk is? That's what our brain is saying to us. We're not aware of what it's saying to us. For example, you may be out running, all of a sudden you realize you're thinking about how tired you are. That's self-talk. It creeps up on you. You don't even realize you're doing it. So the first step is you need to monitor that self-talk, and when something negative is creeping in your mind or you're focusing on some bad aspect, you just stop it and change it. And it's not only when you're running. Now, when you're running, you can use mantras, and I have a video on mantras I'll cue up here later you can take a look at. Mantras help, but you may have negative self-talk even when you're not running. For example, I did a long run last week, did 12.5 miles. For some reason, it kind of really tired me out. And the next day I was pretty tired. And I started getting these thoughts about, can I really train and do a 50K like I'd like to do this year? I was more tired than I thought I would be. That's negative self-talk. You need to turn those around and say, I can achieve a 50K. I'm very capable of achieving a 50K. I just need to stick to my training plan and all will be well. You need to monitor those thoughts and change them, whether it's on a run or you're sitting at your desk at work working and something creeps in, change it right away. So monitor your self-talk. I think the more often you stop that negative self-talk and redirect it and focus on something positive, the less likely you are to have that creep in your mind. So they'll be less frequent. I don't think you can ever get rid of that negative self-talk. It's always there, but certainly you can reduce it and maybe make it less automatic just by redirecting or reframing and refocusing that negative talk to something more positive. And one of the key things you can do to improve your mental toughness is make sure you have a goal or something that excites you that you're shooting for. I'm not only talking about a long-term goal. Your long-term goal may be to run a marathon, but you need to have some process goal. For example, you might say, this month I'm going to run a total of 40 miles, or next week I'm going to run a 10-mile long run. You need to have those intermediate goals, and those goals need to motivate you. They need to excite you. You want to make sure that when you hit that goal, you feel good, you feel positive, because that's what's really going to help you go through those difficult situations. Now, one key thing you can do to help with that is visualization. All world-class athletes, anyone you talk to would tell you they visualize what they're going to do. The gymnast visualizes their routine before they actually do it. The diver does. Even the runner. As a runner, you should visualize doing that race and visualize yourself getting dressed, getting your clothes on, putting your bib on, getting the starting line, running in good form, crossing the finish line, getting that goal. You need to visualize those things. Visualize your long run. Visualize the hills you're going to run. But you visualize them in a positive manner, that you've done it, and you've done it very well. So practice that. In your off days. When I say your off days, when you're not running, visualize those things. That will help. That excitement will help that belief in that you can achieve that goal. That helps that positive outcome, that positive belief. Now, a couple of things you can do on that willingness part is to practice. One of the big things is practice acceptance. And what do I mean by that? You need to accept the fact that you're going to be tired. You need to accept the fact you're going to have sore days. You need to accept the fact you're going to have bad weather. Just accept it and say that's just part of the normal course of achieving my goal of running that marathon. So just accept it. In fact, one thing you can do during your run is kind of related to the self-talk is, say you're doing your long run, you get to about mile 6, and you're starting to feel a little tired, a little sore. Tell yourself, hey, this is normal. My run is going well because I'm feeling the level of tiredness I would expect to feel at this point. My run is going to plan. So just tell yourself this is normal. I'm accepting this. This is not a problem. This is what I would expect to feel at this point in my run. So acceptance can go a long ways in not having you focus on the bad aspects of how you're feeling or what's going on around you. Now, another thing you can do to help with that willingness is to train in different conditions. Train in some of those bad conditions. It's a windy day, so what? Go out and run in it. It's raining outside. Go run in the rain. You never know on race day if it's going to rain or not, right? So go out and do some runs in the rain. Run at different times of day. I typically run in the morning, but a couple years ago I did the Vegas half marathon, and that was run in the evening. In fact, it was run in my time where I am here in my home. It started at 8 o'clock in the evening, even though it was like 5 p.m. out in Vegas time. So it's kind of like a night run. So before the race, I did a couple of night runs because I knew that running at night would be different for me. So train different times of day, train in adverse conditions. That will help that acceptance. That way you know, hey, I know I can run in the rain. I know I can run on a windy day. I know I can do these things. So that really goes a long way with that acceptance. Key here is to train outside your comfort zone. You know, as I look outside my window today, it's like low 60-degree app. It's sunny, light breeze. Beautiful day to run. How many race days are going to be like that? Well, some are, but many of them may not. So although it would be a great day to run, I need to also make sure I run in those off days, times that I don't like to run in, but I'm going to do it anyway because that helps build that acceptance. Now, another tool or technique to use with that self-talk, besides redirecting and reframing it, is distraction. What I mean by distraction, say you're running around in your neighborhood like I do. One time I started counting all the houses in my neighborhood. I was just curious, so I would go around and I'd count all the houses. That distracted me. Now, maybe listening to a podcast. Lately, I've been starting to listen to a podcast when I run. That kind of distracts from the way I'm feeling, so that's very helpful. Counting houses, counting all the blue cars. So those types of counting things can help. So another thing you can do to distract yourself a little bit is visualization. Pretend you're running that marathon, you're crossing the finish line. That kind of distracts you. If you're still working, maybe you have a project you're working on, and you got to do a presentation or write an email, you can do that while you're running. Sometimes on my videos, I will actually think about what I want to say, what I want to cover in the video while I'm running. That distracts me from the way I'm feeling. So a distraction is a good way to help fight back that negative self-talk and redirect it. Again, that makes you more mentally tough because you're not, as long as you're not focusing and reacting to that negative self-talk or the way you're feeling, you're being mentally tough. So another technique in helping with the willingness and a little bit with the positive outcome, the positive belief, is what athletes call arousal control. What does that mean? It's not what you think it is. So arousal control deals with how do you like to feel when you run your best. For example, if you like to feel very relaxed, go into a run, you feel very relaxed and calm, then you want to do the things before the run that calm you, whatever that is. deep breathing, maybe it's walking a little bit before you run, just kind of relax and unwind. To do those things to control your emotions at that time. On the other hand, if you'd like to be pumped up, like to be excited, really like to feel energetic, maybe listen to some exciting music, maybe give yourself a pep talk. You want to get in that state of arousal where you perform your best. If you're in that optimum state, it's much easier to control your mental thoughts and your self-talk to not be so negative. So think about focusing on how you like to be aroused before you start your run and what works best for you, and try and get in that state before you start your run. So I hope you learned a few things about mental toughness. It is actually some things you can do to improve. I gave you some suggestions, some ideas to try. Running, they say running sometimes in sports is 90% mental and 10% physical. I don't think it's quite 90-10. It may be more like 60-40 or something like that, but a lot of it is mental. So things you can do to make yourself more mentally tough will go a long ways in helping you meet your running objectives. So again, I appreciate you watching the video. If you're not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching, and happy running.